Hey guys, I'm Brian Sparkman, and my hope through this podcast is that those of us in the Black LGBTQ plus community and others find our rightful place on life's journey. So come along to listen, to learn, and to share. Our voices, our journey. More than just letters. Coming up next.
Whatever it is that you have, and now I can do this later. Doing your money is trained to work for you.
All right. We got Brittany Griffith in the building. Welcome. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for your time and for all of the knowledge that you're going to be able to help us with and be able to kind of disseminate to those watching and listening. So.
And thank you for the invitation, Brian. I appreciate it.
You know, you my heart. I love you. All right, so we'll get started a little bit. And I think one of the things I like to do with our guests are just kind of icebreakers. It's really just kind of just to ease us in, have a little bit of fun, and then we kind of get started. You okay with that?
All right, I'm fine with it.
All right, let's do it. All right, question one, Twizzlers or Red Vines?
Okay, it's Twizzlers, but I've never had a red vine.
All right, white potato salad or yellow potato salad?
I need my potato salad light. I don't want heavy on the mustard. I make my own potato salad. So
grits, salt or sugar?
I'm Southern. Grits, salt, pepper, cheese. Straightforward without a doubt.
Caramel or caramel?
It's caramel.
Michael or Prince?
I'm going to say Prince.
Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac?
Slim Luther or Thick Luther?
That weight makes you a better lover. I'm gonna say Big Luther. That's all I'm you carry a different energy when you got weight like that.
Chick-fil-A or Popeye's chicken sandwich?
Chick-fil-A, the thing about it is it's consistent. You know, the method of delivery, the service. You're not pulling up to the speaker and they telling you go ahead.
Butterfly or Tootsie Roll?
If you drink in Long Island, you're doing both in the same night. I'm more of the butterfly girl, you know, with your hand on your hip when you dip. That's me.
Luther Vandross or Freddie Jackson?
I'm going to say Luther.
Cosby Show or Family Matters?
I would say Cosby Show.
Well, thank you for that, Brittany. Great job.
No problem. I'm like sweating already.
Take a drink.
That was the lightning round. I'm like, okay.
That was a lightning round indeed, but you did a great job. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, one of the questions I want to start off the interview with, I try to ask all of those who I interview, because this show is, the spotlight is on the Black LGBTQ plus community, you know, and others. Mm-hmm. But the spotlight is on us. I feel like we often don't have an opportunity to have spaces where we can be celebrated. And one of the questions that I ask for, starting out for everyone, is when did you first know that you were part of the LGBTQ plus community?
Actually, I'm currently married to a woman, as you know.
Yes,
but I had everybody loves her. I had been married to a man for about 7 years, okay. And I started feeling a little restless in the relationship. And so I did a little bit of soul searching. And I felt that things that were making me uncomfortable were really telling me that I wasn't a good fit. And it wasn't personal against my partner or anything of that caliber. And at the time I also had a daughter. And so I felt like I was maybe delaying due process, you know, for some reasons. Hey, you want to try everything before it works, but you also don't want to make that other person uncomfortable because you're making another type of decision. And it's not necessarily a choice, but you have to make some hard decisions.
Sometimes you do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just from there, I just decided to spend more time with me, getting to know more about me and what exactly I was looking for in a partner. And in that, I found that I was looking for someone who was actually like me, meaning my own sex and certain personality traits. Okay. Someone who was a little bit more nurturing, more take charge of situations, problem solver, you know, solutions based type of thing. Because a lot of women, we are focused and we're go-getters and we're very pointed and specific about the things that we like. And so from that, I was like, this relationship checks all the boxes. and the person's just packaged different, and that's my direction.
Wow. I love that. I love the soul searching. I love that you had the courage to step into that truth, and that it was no reflection on anyone else. It was simply
Correct.
you finding yourself. So I love that. And I think a lot of people will be able to kind of relate to that similar story. So I thank you for that. That was really powerful. I really felt that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because we're talking about finances today. That's why we have Brittany on. We're talking about finances, savings, the kind of the whole gambit. So can you kind of run down that resume for those out there who are listening and watching and like, all right, she's, fly, got the purple hair and like looking so fly. You gotta run down the resume for those listening and watching.
Okay, so typically I am in the banking arena. I have a bachelor's in project management, and my master's is in organizational management with a concentration in organizational leadership. Multimillionaires. That's how I started out, is preparing financial plans for high net worth clients. And you had to have
Right.
3 million or more in investable assets or 7 million in net worth. Those are often the groups who don't need the most direction. A lot of people aren't rich by chance. And so they kind of know how to allocate and move their money around. So when doing that, I thought about, what about groups that aren't as serviced? People think that you need to be rich in order to have a financial planner, and that's not true. You just need somebody. All you really need is a goal in mind. And when you start thinking about goals and vision, people say, well, I don't have enough money to save. If you have money, you have enough money to save. And we know that orchards come from seeds, and you just have to keep watering and cultivating whatever it is that you have. And if you're faithful over a little, you'll always have a lot.
I love that. Orchards come from seeds.
Seeds, they do.
That's powerful. Yeah. I love that.
So those are the things that I wanted. I wanted to assist us with better knowing how to manage our money. Some people are saying it's old-fashioned budget. No, you need to keep an accurate account because it's your money and it's your business.
Head is blown right now. And I'm sure people listening heads will be blown too. I love all of that. You're touching on so many things that I really wanted to dive into. Now, so one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, obviously that resume, if y'all didn't hear that, listen again, run it back. So the reason I wanted to come on is because when I have situations, or I've had situations in my life where I've benefited from information, something that I've read from whether friends, whether a magazine, whether, people in the past, financial planning, that kind of thing. I always feel like I want to share that with everybody. And specifically, right now there's a lot of things going on. There's, financial insecurity, food insecurity, issues with people who are struggling to pay bills to feed their families. And it's kind of made me think about a time about 10 years ago when I lived in the Midwest, and I myself was on the verge of an eviction. I was literally, the sheriff had posted the notice on my door, freaked out. I was highly embarrassed. I was, ashamed, all these things. And in that moment, and thankfully with the help of two really great friends who I consider like sisters, and my parents, who helped me to kind of move from that space, I made the decision for myself at that time. I can never, I have to do my best to never allow myself to be in that situation again. So I had to make some hard choices, some hard sacrifices to avoid ever having that kind of insecurity or that sort of trauma and stress from lack of financial security. So my first question kind of to you is, why is it important to care about our finances? So for those people who, again, who may not be high net worth individuals, for those who, may have, why is it important for us to care about our finances?
Finances are coupled with security, and we know that. I mean, you feel a different level of security by saying, hey, I have money in my pocket. If anything happens, if someone needs something, I'm there. So much of our worth is tied to finances. And so just like you had your situation with a potential eviction, there was a time where I got a bank statement and it told me for a 12-month rolling period, I had spent $890 on overdraft fees. At that time, I didn't have $890 in my savings account. That's an issue. There's
so many people, I'm sure, who can attest to that. I've been exactly where you were. Sorry, continue.
Exactly. So what it's imperative and important to do is when you're having a financial struggle, usually, and Brian, if you think back, think about something else in your life that was out of order. at that time.
Okay.
It wasn't just your finances. It could have been a relationship. It could have been your health. It could have just been, but people don't realize it's culminating. And once you start to get, like people say, once I got my credit together, things started happening for me. And so for us, it's very pertinent that we keep a handle on our finances. And when people say, well, I need a car, you may technically need a car. You may live in an area where public transportation is really not an option, or you may say, hey, I work hard, I deserve a car. Correct. But you have to assess your need. Do you need a luxury? Yeah. Do you need a car, but do you need a luxury car? And I think that where we get into so much trouble is we say, I deserve this. I should do something nice for myself. And you blessing yourself should not keep you up all night, should not have you stressed out on a monthly basis.
So you mentioned not having that amount of money. So that may also be linked to savings, maybe, or lack of savings. So maybe why is it important for us to have a savings account? How does that maybe play into some of these things that you mentioned earlier?
Well, see, with a savings account, people often think, well, you're not making any money if you only have it in your savings account. But that money is your money. And if you need it for an emergency, and we've been in so many situations where we get $500 in our savings account, we're like, perfect. And we get a flat tire or something happens and we're like, oh, shoot, now I have to tap into my savings, and you start pinching away at it.
Absolutely.
Savings is important for your independence.
I love that. And can I just interject that there's been a lot of articles that have talked about, Americans being one paycheck away from homelessness. And when I read those statistics, whether it's 40% or whether it's 50% or 60%, there's still a considerable number of Americans who, again, if they miss one paycheck or they're sick from work, not having that savings obviously doesn't equal the independence that you mentioned earlier. So I just wanted to just interject and just mention that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've all been in situations where our back's been against the wall and we can't find a way to cut it. And so we have to look at, hey, set a goal for yourself. By such and such a date, I want to have this credit card paid off or this loan. And when you do so, you need to reallocate those funds. Don't take it and say, I'm putting it in my savings account because that's what I'll do. No, you have to, it's called the snowball method. You have to continually keep that money in until it's paid, until whatever it is paid off. And then at that time, you say, my money has to be working for me. You look at other ways to invest.
I'm like many light bulb moments happening right now. It's not how much you earn, it is how much you save. And there are ways that you've mentioned, there are ways to be able to, maybe it's cutting back on certain expenses and reallocating that money to other things. So there is ways that you can save, no matter if you're, making, 6 figures a year or you're making, 5 figures a year. Right. I had a regional manager tell me, she managed a district for this financial company, and she said, save until it hurts and then save a little bit more. Save till it hurts and then save a little bit more. And one of the things that my brother, shout out to my brother Courtney, one of the things that he mentioned to me last year that I think is sort of the way that I look at life now is that when you see people who, we may deem successful, so whether that's, celebrities or whether that's people in our own lives, the one question he said that he always asks himself, and last year we talked about this, was how much did they sacrifice? And I think the people need to really understand that. And that was such a huge thing for me. It was like, oh, wow. Any person, if whether a person is, has just a level of stability, whether they have, high net worth, whatever that might look like, that the sacrifice, right? The sacrifice portion of it is key, because again, if we're in a situation where we have, again, we may be making minimum wage, you maybe don't have, that much disposable income, but there is a sacrifice that is required in order to be able to kind of move us out of certain situations. Would you kind of agree with that? That's kind of key. I do. I started to kind of hone in on the word sacrifice, because when people hear sacrifice, they think about punishment. They think, oh no, I have to give this up. But that's all a mindset thing, because a sacrifice technically is a compromise, for a later date. And that's whether it's a relationship, that's whether, people say, I sacrificed to get my degree. No, you made you compromised. You said, hey, look, if I do this now, I can do this later. So, it's all about, the person's thoughts. I love that. That's again, it's a compromise. So maybe it's not sacrifice, compromise. And again, I think for any of us who've had to who've had to kind of move out of, those ways of, those traumatic moments, I think there has been some compromise, some strategy to be able to kind of move ourselves out of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the numbers don't lie. There's nothing like seeing a comma in your bank account. And so if you keep like a laser focus on that, it pays. But the thing is that only work works. And so you have to be diligent and steadfast and consistent in that. You have to consistently do the right thing for a long time to see a result. You can blow your paycheck in 1 week and you're paying for it for a month, but consistently you have to save and do what you're supposed to do in order to see maybe not even the expected result.
You are dropping so much wisdom. I hope you all have like a pen and pad out there or just record this interview, because she is giving you all the business. She's giving you all great advice, and me as well. So thank you for this.
Thank you.
So for people who feel like maybe they don't make enough money to be able to save, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to first call a financial advisor. You don't need to be rich. I've seen school teachers retire with $1 million in retirement. And it's all about how their money. And we know that educators, at a great level are often underpaid. So if a person like that with children can retire with that amount of money, it's all about how you allocate it. That's it. And if you don't know enough about it yourself, go fully. It's so freeing to say, can you loop me in? Can you inform me about this? Can you help me better understand? You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know a whole lot. All you need to know is that you have a goal in mind and you need help.
If you feel like you aren't making enough money, you feel like you don't have enough money, like she mentioned, there are teachers who she's seen who retire with, $1 million. So again, there's opportunity for anyone. And then we know teachers are severely underpaid. So there is opportunity.
Correct.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. So for people maybe I'm sorry, what?
I have one more thing.
Yes, please.
If in the event that you run into a situation where you can't make a payment, whether it's credit card, car, loan, in the beginning you mentioned, hey, we're in turbulent times with jobs and finances. Keep that open dialogue with your creditors. Call and have a conversation. Hi, my name is Brittany. I have a credit card with you all. Here's my account number. I think that I may be late this month. What can we do? How long do I have before it's reported? Keep that conversation open, but pay your bills when you can. Don't squirrel away money for something else and neglect your bill, because you may run into a situation. And I've called the car finance company before and said, hey, look, I'm in a bit of a fix. I'm actually moving this month due to whatever circumstance. And they say, okay, let's skip this payment because you've never been late. We'll put it on the end of your loan. That puts extra money in your pocket so that you can, do the next thing.
Oh, that's great advice. That's absolutely great advice. So like, don't block the calls. Don't ignore the calls. Sometimes you have to
have the conversation.
So maybe for those individuals who aren't necessarily struggling financially, for those individuals who have, done the work, they have saved, they have sacrificed, what ways can they make that money maybe go further for them? In general, maybe like their investments or their, stocks, bonds, what kinds of things can people look at?
I am a very moderate investor. I'm not aggressive at all. I see something that I like and I'm like, oh, that's
Me too.
you do a lot of reading. When people are saying, oh, I wish I knew a medical company so I could get in and invest there. Well, let's focus on what it takes to administer that medication. Maybe you need to look at what company is supplying needles or whatnot. We don't think about the other resources needed to market or package something. I made an investment one time and it was kind of on a whim. This company was buying these like little forklifts to move around. Okay. And the company kept growing and growing. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I get in on that?
For forklifts?
Yeah, just for like for a warehouse.
Yeah.
And it hit me. Those things run on batteries. Like you have to charge them up. So I found out who the battery company was so that I could purchase stock in that.
That is brilliant. Did it pay off for you?
It did. I didn't get rich, but it was just another way of thinking. Think outside of what the direct product is. And that works for me. I know people who invest in real estate and they say, well, look, I took out a home equity line of credit. And with that money, I went and I bought 2 rental properties. those 2 rental properties, I pay my mortgage with that. I mean, it's recycling the same money. I mean, they say your money is soldiers sitting in the bank. They could be out working for you, so.
Love that. I've never heard that before. Your money is soldiers sitting in the bank when they could be out working for you.
Working for you. Absolutely. It's kind of it's a bit of a military term. I'm prior Air Force. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
when they train, they train you to do a job. They don't say, well, I was a flight controller. They don't say, training you to be a flight controller, now go work in the kitchen. They're utilizing you for the skill that you're trained to do, and your money is trained to work for you as long as you put it in the appropriate place. And careful not to bite off more than you can chew. Just make sure it makes sense. And don't let anybody redirect your focus or your vision unless they're a real mentor to you. Everyone is not supposed to see your vision because it's yours. So.
Absolutely. Well, Brittany, you have dropped so much knowledge. There's so many things like running through my mind right now. I'm like, okay, wow, I got to consider that, consider savings. I have to think about, savings a little bit more. I have to think about, how to make that money that, that we do have kind of work for us. We have to think about all of the options that we can create, that we're empowered enough to be able to have some choices. And it's not, not making that kind of job or not having this thing, but we have the ability to kind of really make things happen for ourselves. So correct. I think, I'm like, I would love for you to come back on, and I'm sure people will have a lot of questions for you. Absolutely. So maybe we can get you to maybe come back on at some point where I can maybe twist your arm, maybe,
Absolutely. I love to. I love to. It's always good to see you. So I'm available to you at any time. And if you're tired of hearing me talk, just say, Brittany, shut up.
No, not at all. I can sit here and I'm like, let's just leave.
You're killing me.
I'm like, let's just leave it on and I can just listen to you just go and talk. I'm like, man, okay, wait a second. So no, if you guys have any questions for Brittany, please leave a comment. We'll definitely have her back on. Anything specific, any questions you had about what she said, some other questions that you may have, please feel free to leave a comment. And Brittany, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. This made my day, Brian. I'll talk with you anytime you want to talk. Oh, you're my heart. Love you. Thank you so very much. I love you. Okay, guys, take care of yourself. Thank you for tuning in to Our Voices, Our Journey, more than just letters. Thanks a lot.